Hey guys, it's Yvette, and I have a small request. I think it's small. I don't know. We're all sitting at home now for a couple weeks or so, and maybe we have, hopefully you guys are getting through all your whips. I am probably not going to get through my whips. I'm still going to work every day, thank goodness, because I do have bills to pay. But I have this project. I have been getting a few emails. I haven't gotten like a ton, but I've gotten a few emails from people who are asking if I would get my community of quilters together to make face masks for people in hospitals mostly. And so I decided, hey, why not? And I found this great pattern online. Let me get that. Baby. Okay, so the pattern was written by Craft Passion, and she has the whole thing on her blog. But she also had a way that you could PDF it. So I went ahead and I PDF'd it, and I also put the template on the back of the PDF and then scanned that through so that everything is all in one file. So if you would like to participate, I would really appreciate it. I'm going to, if all you have to do is email me and I will send you the pattern. You can email me at yvette@yvetterenecreations.com. I will, that email address is always down below in the description box. I will also, the places that I know of who are collecting the face masks, I will put in the first pinned comment, or in the pinned comment down below, okay? That way you have the name of the place, the address, you can send it straight to them. And what else was I going to say? Listen, obviously, these masks that we are making are a last resort. This is not, we know that this is not going to 100% stop people from catching the virus. Okay, but it's better than nothing. And that's basically how we're looking at it. And so it's just trying to give people a little bit of, just a little bit of protection and making them feel better, people around them feel better. It's mostly a peace of mind thing. I mean, I think that that's really important. And I thought that, you guys would like to help out. And so I am also, right after my little talking here, I have a tutorial on how to make this mask, and so that you can sew along with me. That way, if you're new or you read the pattern and you're confused about something, I'm going to make it over here so that you can see that. And I'm going to do the pattern that she altered so that there's a pocket so that people can put a regular face mask through it if they just want to make their face mask pretty after all this is over, and then they're wearing face masks in the hospital, but they thought, oh, let's make it pretty. They can still use them. Or if you want to include a piece of non-woven fabric that they can tuck inside to be a little more protection, you can do that as well. But it's made to go in and out either way. So, before I go over, I'm just going to show you guys this apron that Jim found for me. I think at Walmart. I'm not sure. Because I can't possibly just keep wearing this. Things that are like tugging at my neck, especially, like driving me nuts. So I'm going to show it to you so that he knows that I showed it to you, and then I can take it off. So it is really cute. It's very cute. It's just, yeah, if it were a t-shirt, I would totally wear it. Yeah, because he knows I drink lots of coffee, and it ties in the back, and it's got little kitty cats all over the front. And I have it very loose, so it's certainly not, it's certainly not very flattering right now either. And this is like my biggest spot, so that's awesome too. Anyway, you can comment on that down below, and right now I'm going to start the tutorial, so stay tuned. Okay guys, so here I am. I have chosen a couple of fabrics. This one is going to be my outer fabric, and this one will be the lining. Okay, I'm just kind of trying to think of Easter for right now. Why not get everyone in like a festive spirit, right? And I did cut out the template, and I'm using the Teenaging Woman because I'm going to make this one for my sister. She works in a hospital, and I asked her if she wanted one. She's like, yeah, send me one. Send me a few. So anyway, here we go. We're going to get going with it. Once you have your fabric, what I did was I just folded it in half. That way I'm getting both pieces at once, because you're going to cut 2 of these for the main and 2 for lining. Okay, so what we are going to do is we need to have on these 3 sides, and I just marked mine ear and nose, that way I don't forget what I'm doing. So these 3 sides are going to have a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, which we have to add to it, okay, because the pattern that she has is for the mask itself, so we need to add our seam allowance. So 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, and on the ear side you want 1 inch. Okay, so I'm just going to mark those. I'm going to do the inch first, and I am just going to use a friction pin because that will it'll go away with heat. And then 3/8 of an inch, which is the 3rd line in. And I'm just going to go all the way to the right there. And then on the curves, I'm just going to put like the 3rd, 1, 2, 3, right there on the edge, and I'm going to make a mark. And then I'm just going to turn it, and I'm not going to do the whole thing. What I'm going to do is, I've got a little piece of something on there. I'll just put it there, and right where the line is, I'm just going to make a little mark. Because this doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, it's a seam allowance, and it's for something for the face, which, you know, the face is round anyway, so everything that you would make in general like this would be a guesstimate anyway. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the inside. I'm making sure that I get the very end on both of them. That's going to be like a good line to start with on those. And the more you make these guys, the more you'll be able to do. And also, I'm only going to go 2 layers right now, but if you have like a really good rotary cutter or pair of scissors, you could totally do as many layers as you think you could get through. Really, you can do a whole bunch of them at once. And then I'm just going to join the lines, just roughly join them. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to take my fabric scissors, and you can use a rotary cutter if you want. Anytime that it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, I like pulling out my fabric scissors. It just feels like I'm really sewing. And I don't make clothes, so it's not something that I normally get to do. You know, I'm using rotary cutters like all the time, which, believe me, are a blessing. But every once in a while, just being able to play with the fabric scissors is nice and fun for me. All right, let me just chop that off of me, for goodness sakes. I'm not going to fight with the fabric. And I didn't starch it up or anything in this particular case, just because it's probably not really necessary to do that. Because, like I said, precision is not really important. I mean, you want to get it right, but it's not like life or death. And when you're making a quill, boy, you know it's life and death. I'm just full of the one-liners, or two-liners, or whatever it is I'm making here. Okay. Now, we're going to take them, and we're going to put them right sides together. And this piece over here is your nose piece. So we are going to mark our 3/8 of an inch. Now you don't, once you get, like I said, listen, every time you're going to make these, especially if you plan on making like a handful of them or even more, you guys, you're going to be able to eyeball it. You're not going to have to mark a thing. I'm just marking because this is my very first one. I've never made them before. And y'all, if y'all know me, if y'all sew with me a lot, I like marking stuff. Now, once I get going, I'm just going to eyeball it, I'll be honest. But this is my very first one. I'm doing my very first one with y'all. And I did read through the instructions like a good, 5 times to make sure I knew what I was doing. But it's definitely just the first one I'm sewing though. And I'm just, joining them roughly together. Like I said, doesn't really have to be perfect, because it's all going to go across the face anyway. Face is round. All right. And then just because I am one of those people, I'm like worried. I don't want to have to keep matching the seam up and all that kind of stuff. If I just hurry up and pin it, really, this takes me like 4 seconds, and now I can just carry it over to the sewing machine and I don't have to worry. So now let's do the lining. Now for the lining, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. We're going to have 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, and 1/2 an inch. Okay, so not an inch. Now this is on the inside, and we're going to do a 1/2 an inch there. And like I said, you're going to start getting really good at this. I don't know that personally I would stop marking for at least putting your lines down. But hey, it's up to you. I at least want to get the template good, to me anyway. But hey, you start making enough of them, you probably could just eyeball that too. Who knows? And there are like so many people that you could be making them for. Like even if, if you don't have the money to mail out to like hospitals and stuff, you should like find out if people who are, who need them, like elderly people or people who are compromised. I mean, obviously you would say this is not in replacement of anything, any kind of medical things. If they have one that is medical grade, they should be using that. But it's going to get to a point, I think, or if it's not already, which it probably is already, where people can't get them. And, they're just saying something is better than nothing. So you could make them for, people in nursing homes or people who are at home, but, need a little extra protection if people are coming over to visit, or, which we're not supposed to be doing. But, everybody's a rebel. Which is why everybody's getting sick. And you don't know that you're sick. That's another problem. So, let's see. Okay, so once we have these lines drawn, now we'll just cut this one out. If you guys are hearing that buzzing in the back, Jim is working on something outside, a woodworking project. He likes doing that. I never can tell if you guys can hear all this stuff going on, because it's like I've got the laundry going as well, and sometimes I'll be sitting here making a video and then like the buzzer goes off on the dryer. And I'm like, I wonder if everyone can hear that. And I don't notice things like when I'm editing because I'm looking for, you know, things that need to be cut out or things that need to move to a separate, another section, or something that needs like a comment put in, or who knows. So I don't notice those things. I think it's kind of funny. Okay. So now again, we want to put them right sides together. And here's the piece for the nose on this side. So we are going to mark 3/8 of an inch all the way around. And again, eventually you can just eyeball this, or even now if you want. Just needs to be roughly 3/8. And I'll just join up the lines. Okay, let's go sew these up. Where'd the other one go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so here I am at the machine. I am using a sort of a light gray thread. Anything neutral is fine. You really won't see the thread anyway. So let's get going. Do a back stitch. You might have to lift your presser foot every now and again to just adjust your fabric since you're doing a curve. And we'll just back stitch again. You can just chain stitch these. Now back stitch. Okay, so here we are back with the pieces that we just sewed up, and what we're going to need to do is cut some lines through here. What it'll do is when we turn it right side out, it will release all, because this would like bunch up inside. You don't want that to happen because it doesn't look good. So start about 1/2 inch from the end, and every 1/2 inch approximately, you just do a little clip, but make sure that you don't clip the seam that you just sewed. So you don't want to clip any of those threads. You just want to go like right up to it. And we're going to do that on both the outer, your main fabric, and the lining. Okay, so now we're going to turn them right sides out, and you'll see that because we have made those cuts, it's allowing the fabric to curve so that you can have it, you know, have a round section like that. And we'll do the same here. Okay, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over and give it a nice press real quick. There we go. Okay, so now that I've got those pressed, let me double check again what I'm supposed to do next. Okay, so they want us to top stitch it, so I'm going to go and do that. That will make it really pretty, so let's go. Okay, so here we are. We have them back, but I kind of, after I got finished sewing it, I thought, I bet she wanted us to like try to lay it out and top stitch. Like, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Because now I'm looking at it and I've got like a lip pointing out. So anyway, you could like, and probably on my next one, if I do another one, I'll show you. You can always press it this way and then put it on, and it's going to be funky like sewing it. But if you just do it a little bit at a time, just like I did there, and hold it, you can totally like hold the fabric and do a top stitch, and it would look a lot better. This one's going to look a little funky, but that's okay. I get what she wants us to do now, now that I'm totally done and have done it wrong. But I mean, you know, it's not terrible. It's just, you know, it could look a little more professional, which is what I was going for and obviously missed. I just wasn't thinking is all. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I think what she's wanting us to do now is we are going to just fold this over. We're going to do like just a little fold, and you could probably even do 2 folds. That way you won't get that that edge, the cut edge. So you just flip it really little, and then really little, and then you're going to do a little top stitch right across here on both sides, because what will happen is this is your inner liner, and you don't want to have this cut edge on the inside, right? You want to have it look nice. So that's what we're going to go over and do. Okay, so all I'm going to do, I kind of use the iron to help it go over. So I folded it over once and then twice, and then I'm just going to sew down the side in a top stitch. So just like we did with the centers, I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'm going to, it's kind of difficult to get my needle down and hold down that end of fabric, so I'm going to kind of go in a little bit, and then I'll backspace. Or backstitch. I keep saying backspace. So I'll just do 1 stitch, and then I'm going to kind of hold the fabric, because you want it to, you know, as you're coming out, sometimes you can go too far, so you want to go kind of slow. You're just going to go a few times until you can get that all the way down. So that one went a little bit too far. Okay, and then I will personally use my stiletto just to make sure that it doesn't flip up on itself. Oops. Oopsies. Try not to catch your... Okay. Because sometimes if you do that, because I've done it before, you can like, you can totally thread your needle by getting your stiletto caught on it. So I'm just going to sew right down the edge, right on the end of the fold on the inside. About to go off the thread there, off the fabric. Your finger can only go so far, so sometimes I will use the stiletto to make sure it's being held down in the right spot. I'm a back stitch. And then, that'll be okay. This is going to go in a seam allowance anyway. Sorry, this piece here is going to go in a seam allowance anyway, so it's okay if it kind of gets chewed up a little tiny bit. Obviously, you want to avoid that, but if it happens, it's okay. Alright, now I'm going to do this side. Same thing. Bit more over. Okay. Now I'm going to do one stitch, and then I'm going to hold it a little bit and go back and back. And I could probably go back one more, but I'm probably going to go off the fabric, so I'll just use my stiletto to get back on. Okay. And it went way off. So I'm going to kind of lift up my foot, push the fabric up against the needle. Then I can use my stiletto to make sure that it goes under without, see, and sometimes it'll do that. But that's me doing that. It's because of the decisions that I make to sew. Because I'm trying to get it to not have all these little threads and everything everywhere. And sometimes it'll work for you and sometimes it won't. And if it doesn't, then you just start it again. No big deal. Okay, so just gonna pull my thread again. And now that part did actually work. Now I can just go right where I need it to go. Okay, and we will continue along. And I find that, and this, like I said, it doesn't 100% work, but I find that at the beginning, if I take my first few stitches really slow, my machine doesn't like suck everything up into the back of it. You know what I mean? Like it behaves. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes the machine just, you know, he just does what he wants. As I come closer, I'm just going to use my stiletto. I like a stiletto. If you don't like it, and you don't even have to use a stiletto, you can use your pair of scissors or like anything if you like to do this. I don't know, something about having a stiletto and other stuff just makes me feel more like a quilter. I don't know. Yeah, I'm weird. Okay, so while y'all weren't looking, I made another one of these, and I just pressed it on the inside. Like if you hold it like this, and then take your iron and press the fabric all to one side. It's a tiny bit awkward, but it's not that bad. And then you just kind of press it around so that the fabric is all to one side. Okay, and now we're going to take it and top stitch it. Now I'm going to top stitch it over the fabric that's leaning, or that got pressed over, right? So I'm going to just go just to the right side, because I pressed that way, of the seam that we have, and that's how we're going to go down. I don't even know if you can see what I'm doing here, but all you have to do, and if you're taking it slow, which you should anyway, you just manipulate it as you go. Okay, so I'm going to start right there. Here we go. Pull them in a little bit closer. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put one stitch. You want to kind of hold it with your finger. You want to hold it open with your finger. And I'm going to do a second stitch, and then I'm going to back stitch. Okay. And then holding it, this is probably going to be like the second most just annoying part. So just use your fingers and hold it and go kind of slow, because you want it to look good. This is, everybody's going to see this, and now I'm excited because it's going to be exactly the way it's supposed to be. And then, like I said, you just go slowly down. And this part of the nose is going to be the hardest part because it's curved. And I know you probably can't see as well as you'd like. I'm trying really hard, guys. But I want to also make sure it looks good. And that's another reason why I'm going like super slow. And you'll want to kind of pull the fabric a little bit up on both sides, because I'm trying to explain, because you want the fabric is going around a nose, so it's curved. So it's going to be like a weird kind of stitch anyway. Once I'm done with this, I'll be able to tell if this was all worth it or not. Because I've actually never done a top stitch on a curved piece before, so it's not that bad. I'm probably putting my whole shoulder in your face. I hope not. Or my hand is blocking it or something. I think it's getting caught on something. I feel like I got a good run going here. Okay. Now I can see down there. I have a feeling y'all can't. I'm really sorry. Now we're on the home stretch, because this part is, compared to the rest, relatively flat. And I have a feeling that my top stitch got all crooked in there because it's so awkward. Alright. Now we're going to find out. Oh gosh. Okay. Let's see. I don't think it looks bad. We'll go check it out in the big camera. Okay, so there we go. I think I got it looking better. It'll be much, much better once we have both of the pieces together. And I didn't redo this one because I figured it's on the inside, so I'm not worried about it as much. But obviously this one should have been done like that as well. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to turn this one back. Oh, look what happened. I guess we won't. They want us to put them together, right sides together. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to turn it inside out basically, and I'm going to line it up with this one. And probably actually, because of the way I redid the first one and not the second one, it's not going to match up exactly, I bet. See, I got like a bit of a lip up here and big old gap down here. So I'm not going to worry about it. Because we have a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So just not going to worry about it. Where's the... Okay. So maybe if I could get that one to sort of flip that way. I guess it don't matter. It really don't matter. Okay. So once I have them like lined up together, we're basically going to sew the top and the bottom down. And so I'm going to mark mine because it's my first one, but you absolutely don't have to if you don't want to. I'm going to worry more about the bottom lining up. I think I'm going to put the top, the lining piece just slightly above to kind of make up for it a little bit up top. But I'm going to, are we doing inner layer, top stitch? Okay, got it. It just says sew the top and bottom seam lines. So I'm going to guess that it's still the 3/8 of an inch. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to measure from the top fabric, the main fabric, not the one that I pushed up a little bit. All right. And we're going to sew all the way down the lining piece. Okay, so you don't have to sew on this piece that's hanging out. And let's see. I'm going to pin these so that they stay in the space, in the spot that I want them in. And you don't have to use Wonder Clips. You can use pins if you want. Not, it doesn't really matter. Both do the same thing. And there is a curve, so you are going to have to just sort of, you know, eyeball it a little bit, or, you know, kind of manipulate it a bit. You can see how it's now, it's trying to stay following the curve. That's good. That's how you want it to be. And I'm just marking 3/8 of an inch. Okay, and then I'm going to pin / Wonder Clip, whatever it is you like to do. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of eyeball the inside to, and if you're not marking anyway, then it's not going to matter. But this is just so that I have like a visual. Okay, so you can kind of see what I did there. I know that I was having to block your view for a bit there because of the way, you know, everything is falling. And then we're going to do the other side, right? Okay, so let's get this sewed. I have to say, it's not difficult. It's just more involved than I thought it was going to be. And more like room for error and like all of the curvy things. But I think once we do it, like I said, once we have a couple of them under our belt, I think that it'll be fine. Because it is quite a simple pattern. And simple patterns that are very easy to repeat are easy to learn too, because you can, which way did it go? Went that way, so I'm going to go this way, I think. They're easy to learn because you've got only a certain amount of steps and they are all logical, which is also very true with this one. It's just with the curves in here, it makes you feel like, you know, you have to be a little more diligent. And I think you probably do in your first couple to make sure that you're thinking about everything in the right way. But once you do it a couple times, I think you're good. And curves are not hard. They're just awkward, in my opinion. Because, you know, you're like trying to keep things meeting in the same spot. And with a curve, like I said, just a tiny bit awkward. That's all. It's not hard. Okay, so I've got this one. Get this. I'm going to do the other side. Okay guys, so we have just sewed down both of these sides. And now what we want to do is on the top part where it's all curved, we want to do that clipping again so that the curves will stay where they're supposed to. So we want to just do them about a ½ inch apart. Don't have to measure, just make sure you don't cut those strings or your seams. Jim has literally been sanding for hours. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to turn it inside out or inside in. We're going to like flip it around, okay? Okay, and of course it's going to go like this, right? And that's your inside, and that's your outside. And let me just go over and do a little pressing. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have pressed it just to make it nice and neat. And now we're going to go, and you'll notice that on the edges over here, your main fabric will automatically sort of get folded over whenever you are doing this, just because it follows the line of what you're pressing. And so we want to top stitch all the way from this edge to this edge, so that we are keeping this, the main fabric flattened, or, you know, flattened as well. And then once we're done with that, we're going to fold over so we can make the piece where the band goes through. And then guys, we are like done. So let's go do this top stitching and come right back to finish it up. Okay, so we have all of our top stitching done, and I will clean up all of this stuff in a little bit, but probably won't have to worry about it too much. So now the last, well, it's not the last step, the last sewing part is we are going to flip this over, and I'm going to go and use the iron to kind of help me out a bit, but you're going to fold this down a little bit and then fold it again right up against the other fabric, right? Your inner fabric. And now those are going to stay open because that's how the mask is going to slide in, right? But we're going to sew it right up against, that way when it's like this, it looks pretty. Okay, but then, oh, actually we might have to do it tighter even than that, because what you need to do is this part, after you sew it, is going to be where the elastic goes in. Okay, so I'm going to go and do that pressing to kind of help it out, and then we're going to top stitch or sew down that one part, and then we'll be ready to put our elastic on. Okay, so now we are ready to put our elastic on. I sure hope that's enough. All right, so it said to cut 6 to 8 inches, and I actually went a little over 8 inches. I don't know. So I'm going to just take one of these. I don't even know what these are called. Like calipers or something? I don't know. These are great for like making drawstring bags or anything. All you have to do is catch the end of whatever it is that you're pulling through and then tighten it up with the little ring, right? And then once you have that, then you can just stick it right into the wherever you're going to pass it through. See, and it comes out the other side, and then when you pull it, of course, this one is so tight that I don't know if I'm going to be able to, okay, hold on, let me try to do it without, because the ring doesn't want to go through. Of course, now that I made the hole bigger, probably won't be that bad. And the cording is pretty stiff, so maybe if you're having trouble, just like start to pass it through, and then to like, you know, pull it a little bit. You don't want to pull it too much, obviously, but if any little strings come out, like right here, you want to just kind of, oh, hello, I'm gonna like cut the whole thing. Hold on. I'll just get my little baby snips, because if I try to use those big scissors, it's gonna cut the whole piece of fabric. Okay. All right. So I guess I just make a knot. Heck, I don't know. I don't really talk about that in there. They don't show us the knot. Do I kind of twist it and do it? Okay, guys, listen, I haven't the slightest idea. I've never done this before. Y'all all know. It's my first time. What did it say? Make a who knot? It said some kind of a knot. Insert the elastic band through the pocket. Tie a dead knot to the ends. Pull the elastic band until the knots are hidden in the pocket. I have no idea what that means. A dead knot. I don't know what a dead knot is. Maybe it's like this, where I kind of pull it in on itself. Oh, it's a tiny piece. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Are y'all watching me fight with this? All right, I'm going to hold it with my hands. And then I don't know if this is a dead knot or a living knot. Oh my Lord. I hope I'm doing this right. I guess we'll know if somebody puts it on and then it like pops into their face or something. All right, then you're supposed to turn this. Let me just, I'm not going to cut it yet because I don't know what in the heck I'm doing. And this ain't going to go in there anyway. That's never going to go in there. Oh my Lord. I have no idea what to do now. Do I just... That ain't gonna go in there. There ain't no way that's going in there. Alright, that obviously wasn't a good idea, and I just made that as tight as possible. I might have to just... I could always just cut the elastic and start again. I mean, don't get me wrong. And I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. That one's not good. All right, so I have to think about what else can I do with this. I mean, in this particular one, this might be staying home with me, because I might just dead knot it the way I did it the first time and then just leave it out, because it's not going to go in there. That obviously needs to be made bigger. I hope y'all are watching this all the way through before y'all start. That's what you should do anyway. In case I mess everything up or something's just not working right. Heck, I don't know. All right. I don't know, guys. I'm just going to do it that way. Let me do another like 10.5 inches, because I don't know what I'm doing. So small. Okay, we're done. Here it is. You just got to, when you're making it, guys, seriously, I'm going to tell you. When you are making this, okay, your nose side, 3/8 inch is fine. Here, 3/8 inch, fine. This, 3/8 inch, fine. Where it says 1 inch on the ear, I mean, listen, I know this sounds crazy, but I would go 1.5 to 2. You can always trim it off. but that's entirely too tight. I can't even get the thing through there. So personally, I'm going to do 2 inches. So that's what I'm going to do when I'm making these. And I'll let me fight with it a little bit more, and maybe I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, guys, so I have it on. I think it looks okay. I'm trying to, like, not have y'all see all kinds of weird stuff in the back there. The sides are okay for me. You know, maybe a little bit bigger would be better, but it feels fine. And yeah, so I'll give you guys all those extra measurements, maybe definitely in the description box. Hopefully I'll remember to put all that in, and let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Mwah.